It's been a great year for Smite esports, and there's no doubt that the Xbox One has been a huge part of that. In July, we announced a $150,000 tournament to be played alongside the Smite World Championship. The top 4 Xbox teams from the competitive scene will come together for the Invitational after qualifying through a variety of ways. Big-name organizations such as Epsilon Esports, Team Eager, and Elevate would enter the fray early in hopes of grabbing a team that could qualify for the tournament. From August to December, MLG ran the first Xbox Pro League for Smite, which would culminate into a $50,000 LAN held at MLG Columbus to qualify for the first spot. Former PC pro player Xing and his team Cognitive Gaming would take the first spot heading out of Columbus and then set their eyes on Atlanta. UMG held 4 qualifiers in the fall, which all led to a $10,000 LAN right here at hi-rez Studios, which Xbox powerhouse Team Eager won in dominant fashion. Across the pond, ESL UK ran 2 online qualifiers before holding a LAN of their own at ESL Studios UK. Underdogs Aware Gaming EU secured their spot after taking down Paradigm in the finals and will be the European representative at the Invitation. Heading into the Xbox One Invitational, the final team will come from an open bracket tournament held at the Smite World Championship. If you want to find out more information about how your team can compete, visit esports.smitegame.com for ticket details. The teams are set and the stage is ready. After a year of Xbox One, we're excited for what the future holds with Smite and Xbox One esports. We'll have more details for you in the coming months, so be sure to follow us on Twitter @SmitePro for all of those updates. We hope to see you there at the Smite World Championships, January 7th through the 10th, here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Welcome back, everyone, to the final day of the 2016 Smite World Championships presented by Xbox One. Before we get to the grand finals between Enemy and Epsilon, we have the final set of the Xbox Invitational. Announcing your solo laner for Envy, it is Omega. Your solo laner from Cognitive Game, it is soupskitchen. Your jungler from Cognitive Gaming, it is Xing. Your jungler from Envy, it is Weekend. Your hunter from Cognitive Gaming, Paul. Your hunter from Envy, CycloneSpin. Your guardian from Cognitive, gustavY. Your guardian from Envy, Kiki. Your mid laner from Cognitive Gaming, Freya. And finally, your mid laner for Envy, Allied. All right, gentlemen, Freya, Allied, if you would please join me in the middle. Oh, Paul, please, come here. Sorry, Freya. All right, gentlemen, is there anything you'd like to say to your opponent before you go to your battle stations?
Let us win. Thank you.
Anything you'd like to say?
Let us win.
All right, gentlemen, well, hopefully one of you will win. Go to your stations, and let's go to the analysts.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Alienware Analyst Desk. And this is the first time we're doing analysis for the Xbox Invitational. Very exciting stuff. So because we're doing analysis for the Xbox Invitational, we decided to change up our experts. Unfortunately, joining us is the one, the only, my dear friend, Scott Gandhi.
Hi,
How
Alex.
you doing, my friend?
You've done so well this week, and I'm so proud of you. Normally, you're pretty lackluster, but this time you've done pretty good.
Don't you you know, actually, you were going to say something nice, and then you evened it out with something really mean.
I expect nothing less
of
of what
you.
I don't get, Alex, right? So
Gandhi, Halo Pro, really, really amazing, awesome. Then he starts to suck, right? So he goes to casting. Fair enough, you know.
You did the same thing.
I did the same thing.
You did the same thing, and now Cougar is actually doing the same thing as well.
Then he starts sucking at casting Halo, so he moves to COD.
Okay, yeah.
And then, you know, he starts sucking at, you know, casting COD. So, you know, we're nice. We accept him in Smite, right? We're like, we'll give you another chance. Dude, he was so bad, we kicked him off. And, like, somehow he snuck his way onto design team.
It's pretty much.
And he's bad at that, too. So we felt bad.
Basically, my career has been a downward slope into where now I've propelled to be better than all of you.
Now's there. Oh, that is a bold-faced lie. But now's your opportunity to blossom. Of course, I don't expect much, but anything will do.
Okay, well, the real person that we need to introduce on the desk here is Mr. Air Cougar from Team Eager. Air Cougar, you've been here since really the inception of Xbox One Smite, and it's been a pleasure to watch you guys grow as really a community and competitors. But you guys fell a little bit short to Envy here, and that kind of sucked. Everyone kind of felt like that was the finals, but I still think this is going to be a good set.
Yeah, absolutely. That game was definitely, it sucks to lose, but we've came a long way, and even getting a chance to play in front of the crowd and the stage, just amazing.
Yeah, did that make you nervous, actually? Because, you know, for the Xbox One Smite scene, you know, it was at our studio with not too big of a large audience, and then it was at MLG New Orleans, which had a bigger audience, but not nearly to the capacity as what's out there. Were you a little bit nervous?
Personally, no. I prepped. I have, like, a good prep, I feel like, and I like to get in the zone, and I felt like I felt good.
Stoic in his reserve, some say, Alex.
That's right. That's right. Well, look at you doing such a good job. You wouldn't even know that you haven't been on the camera for like a century. That's
well,
fantastic.
normally I do the patch notes that just gets teleprompted in front of me, so I'm not too bad.
That's right. Good job, buddy. So, and of course, folks, we have a great matchup lined up for you guys here today. We have Envy versus Cognitive. Should be a good one, folks. Of course, Envy, this squad, comes with it a lot of experience, but we saw what Cognitive Gaming were capable of doing against Aware. And Eric, I think I'm going to talk to you about this because you guys actually scrimmed and played against Cognitive Gaming quite a bit.
Yep.
But was there any surprise, I should say, in that match against Aware with how easily they handled that?
Unfortunately, no. I feel like on the Europe side of the Xbox scene, they don't have a lot of teams to practice against. So it was really hard for them to prepare properly for the event. And someone like COG, they've been scrimming people like us and Envy and other high-level Xbox teams to really get a good prep.
That makes sense. Now, of course, folks, let's actually introduce to you guys the roster for both teams. I mean, Kelly did talk about it before, but I want to get into more detail about what each player could potentially bring to the team. First player I want to talk about on the Cognitive side is actually going to be Xing, the jungler for this team. Yep. Scott, we'll start with you. What is it about Xing that he brings to the squad and why he's going to potentially be a factor here?
Well, the good thing about Xing, when he turned into a jungler from a solo lane after Season 1, he's always kind of focused on ganking the solo lane in particular. And the best thing about that is when you look across the way, Envy has probably the best solo laner in the world on Xbox One Smite, which actually is Omega. So I'm hoping kind of Xing's going to just continue to camp Omega and try to shut him down, because that's really going to be the key to beating Envy here.
Yeah, and then of course the on the Envy side, one player you had mentioned him already, Omega. This guy,
I mean, so much history with this kid.
Yeah.
I mean, Omega, let's just bring it all the way back to 2006. So way back in the day when we used to compete in Halo, Omega always kind of floated around the top 8. Now, granted, I was winning, you know, we don't have to worry about that much.
Yeah, definitely.
But Omega was always a fierce competitor, and he's been continuously getting better every single year. I mean, last year he won the World Championship on the PC. This year, he's posed to win it on the Xbox.
That's pretty incredible.
It's insane. He'll actually make esports history winning 2 championships of the same game on different platforms.
A multi-platform champion.
Yeah. Multi-platform champion on the same game. That's never happened in the history of esports.
Now, Air Cougar, what is it about Omega that was particularly difficult to play against yesterday? Because I could already see like the challenge that Omega had for your team. I mean, he was pretty good.
Yeah, he really likes to play those warriors, man. He knows how to play them well. He just dives the backline, and he really messes up the squishy targets that are supposed to be doing the main damage, like Zeus for us. And he can just solo them and zone them out of the fight completely. And someone that can do that by himself is it's a really big threat and something that COG will definitely have to try and handle.
All right, folks. Well, guys, I know you're all eagerly anticipating it, so let's go ahead and get right into it. It is time for the picks in bands for the Xbox One Invitational.
Oh, that's right. We get to do that. I'm so used to sending it over to the casters.
That's right. Actually, we get to do that this time. So, Adonis, let's talk about this here because lots of options I have. And Air Cougar, I also want to get your insight on this too because it is the Xbox, so there are some differences in how you should approach it as well. Yep. So, Adonis, we'll start with you though. What do you expect to see go first here?
You know, I expect to see some interesting picks, but I have to imagine that the Soul Laners are still pretty similar on the Xbox. The Xing, Tian, Bellona are two top-tier picks, and honestly, Cognitive Gaming banning away Weekend Thor is a good look, too. He played so good against Eager with it.
Wow, a shot at Paul there, taking out the Hu-Yi. Really just don't want to deal with the big circular ult that they have, and really that's more of a shot towards Xing, because Xing loves running Odin, and it's normally just the 1-2. They throw down the Odin ring, and then here comes the Hu-Yi ult. And now getting rid of the Khepri, that's just a shot at Kiki saying, okay, we want you to go into the Sylvanas, because Sylvanas can kind of get caught in the early game, and then as soon as he's behind, it's very difficult to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. They definitely took the Thor out to try and not get invaded like we did the first game.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
Now they just took Bellona over the Xing 10 first pick, which is actually pretty interesting. So they might be trying to set up for invade themselves.
You know, I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb here and say Envy should be looking to grab Giannis in this first set. Maybe not the first 2 picks, but overall because Ally doesn't have that great of a god pool on the Xbox One Smite, but his Giannis is fantastic. And if he loses Giannis, then he has to go all the way to Kukulkan.
Do you expect Cognitive Gaming to look for that early invade, especially matched up against the Xing 10? Because that's what we've been seeing, right? Early on in the competition when teams were trying to run aggro on the PC side, it was all Bellona, all invading, all aggression. However, now that the games go later, and I know Xbox games go pretty late as well, Xing 10 is just such a powerhouse. Do you think Cognitive Gaming are going to be able to get that early lead they need?
Yeah, I think the invade, when you're invading, especially the Xing 10, you can't really bully the Xing 10, because even if he gets behind and he reaches late, he'll still get there and he'll still be annoying. You're really invading to bully the jungler because he has a Xing 10, and they should definitely try to build the comp around that, I think.
Waiting for this next pick to get sent in. Chiron, okay, so this is, of course, a good hunter, very versatile hunter that we've seen played numerous times now. Let's see what else COG goes for is going to be the Zhong. So, Scott, at this point, do you think they go for the Giannis before the next ban phase?
I think they absolutely should, because when you just look at the Athena, you already have a pretty global comp, and then with Giannis, you're never mad about getting a Giannis on your team because there's instant synergy across the board with him. I mean, you saw how much of a nuisance he can be, and full CDR on Xbox, you can get so slippery, just like on the PC, and the good Giannis players, they're exactly the same as the PC ones, where they just kind of get their team in and out very, very quickly.
We just saw the Xbalanque get locked in there. What do you think about that
one? I actually want to take a step back. I'll be really surprised if they don't go Kukulkan right now with Envy's setup. They have a lot of CC with the Athena and Xing 10, so if they can pop those beads and they get caught out once by an Athena taunt or the Xing 10 ult with a Xbalanque also trying to disrupt their vision, the Kukulkan could dominate.
Really?
That is true. I mean, the taunt is going to just set it up for Spirit of the Nine Winds to come in and do 8 billion damage.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is going to be a little bit risky. It's funny seeing Allied actually play it because he goes full CDR Kukulkan, and he just sits back and throws tornadoes until the later stages of the game where he gets his Book of Thoth and then a Spear of Magus, and then it's like, oh, wow, those tornadoes now hurt.
Ah, so he's going to look to go with a Serqet here, so locks that one in. And what are they thinking about COG for this next pick here, Cougar? And also thoughts on the Serqet pick.
So looking at the jungler, maybe looking at Humbat's probably not going to be the Odin anymore because it got banned, yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like, you know, Cognitive Gaming, Chiron, Bellona, definitely 2 lane dominators. Especially, you know, Bellona is going to be Xing 10 in lane. You know, based on God matchup, we don't know how the Solar matchup will actually go against Omega, who is one of, if not the best player on Xbox.
For sure.
Zhong and Hunbatz actually provide a lot of space and a lot of team fighting potential in that mid game, though. So I think Cognitive Gaming, their game plan with this comp is early mid, and looking at Envy, I'm looking at mid to late with them.
Well, there goes the Kukulkan there, and now Hunbatz is saying, okay, well, we're going to gank Kukulkan early, and this is going to be easy for him.
All right, folks. Well, that is it. It's been locked in. COG Envy for Game 1 of the finals of the Xbox One Invitational. It's lightning round pick it, boys. Let's see. What do you got there, Gani?
I'm going to go Team Envyus because I'm expecting big things out of Omega and Xing.
Cougar?
Envy with their comp in the Kukulkan.
Envy. Okay, well, I got to go for the boys in blue as well. All right, people, make some noise in the crowd. It is the Xbox One Invitational Grand Finals, people. Let's go ahead, toss it over to our casters.
Thank you so much, Golden Boy. I'm here on the, well, it's not quite a desk, as Bart made the mistake yesterday. My turn. I'm here with Hindu Man and Husey. We've got the finals going on here. Envy, COG, are these the teams you expected to see, and how do you expect this to go?
I really expected to see Eager in these grand finals. They've been the dominant team on Xbox, as we've mentioned, since the inception of Xbox Smite. But Team Envyus, such a strong team coming from the PC side of things, it's not too much of a surprise to see him here.
Experience versus Xbox actual skill is the big difference here between these two teams. One thing though, picks and bans, I'm surprised we saw Kukulkan get through there. There was an opportunity to ban that one out. Instead, they focused onto Weaken. And another talking point with Weaken here is that he went for the Serqet, which is something we don't see a lot of on the Xbox.
Yeah, it's very hard to pilot the Serqet, just the way things work with the controllers. So that's going to be interesting to see how well Weaken does here. And, you know, I like your point about how the guys on the side of Cognitive, a lot of them are very strong with the controller in general, Shing being the only sort of transplant from PC, where it's kind of the opposite on the side of Envy. But I really want to point out a fact about my friend Omega. I mean, like Andy said, I mean, he's a deep Smite player, but he used to be a pro Halo player, so he understands the controller. You know, he kind of like, his team didn't do so well on the PC side of things, looked at his old draw, play some Xbox.
And Omega's got a chance for something special here as well.
So if Omega wins today, he will be the only two-time world champion on the same game 2 years in a row, multi-platform.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a mouthful to say, but it's something special.
It's a huge achievement. He's the only person that could potentially do back-to-back worlds. Actually, it's a lie because the owner, David Fry of Cognitive, he's on form here as well.
That's true. So we've got a big one on the brink right here. We're going to get into the game. Cognitive Gaming versus Team Envy.
So what I expect to see at the beginning of the game, Cognitive got to go aggressive, and that's what you're seeing straight from the outset. They're going to look for potential invades here. It's Xing 10, Serqet in the jungle. It is going to be, though, up against the Bellona and Batz early on. I would like to see Cognitive look for an invade, but Envy, like we said, they have the experience. They should expect this, and it's going to be very difficult for them to find that invade.
Early wards are a staple of Xbox. You want to know, as you mentioned, early aggression is a big thing, so being able to spot out what the opposite team does early on is very, very important.
Taking a look here, pretty standard itemization across the board, really. Of course, people like to point out Mark of the Vanguard. I actually really like this item, especially in the early game if you want to fight, because of the way it works. It's minus 5 damage off of every piece of damage you take, which means all of those archers that hurt a lot, they're going to hurt a little bit less if you dive behind enemy lines.
Well, in the open bracket tournament, Omega didn't dive for the first 3 rounds or something like that. I think it was only against Team Orbit in the finals he finally was taken down.
Well, without those deaths against Team Orbit, Omega hasn't died for about 3 weeks.
It's taken a little while for him, and the thing here for me, though, is the Kukulkan once again. Played by Allied this time. Again, he played it yesterday as well up against Eager, and he's having a good time with it. With the roots from Xing 10 and with the Athena here and the taunt, it's very useful.
On Xbox, it's really, really hard to juke out of the way of abilities, and as Air Cougar mentioned in the pre-game, the Dark Side Knight's coming out from Xbalanque as well. You don't know which direction you need to turn in, so you're already slow, and being blind like that is going to be devastating to be hit by a Kukulkan ultimate.
When you mentioned about, you know, turning circles being a little bit more difficult because of the hypersensitivity, this is why you don't see too much Serqet, because she's a highly mobile god, but very high skill capped.
Zhong and Batz look like they're going to be able to control this left-hand harpies.
They're a little bit worried about Weaken there, but Allied showing his face in mid. They're actually going to give those up. I'm quite surprised by that. Tornado was down from Allied, so there wasn't a whole lot of potential there for the steal coming out from Envy.
Weaken does have a red pot online and Allied with a purple pot as well, so Xing, the veteran player that he is, didn't want to risk giving up an early first blood, considering he's got a power pot of his own.
I think it's just going to be early days for this team for Cognitive here. They're going to take it very, very slow and just be patient. They have the Zhong for the mid to late game here. They'll want Bellona to get a couple of levels under a belt as well and allow the Sobek in the lane and the Chiron just to get themselves in. Once Sobek's involved in this, I think that's when we'll start seeing some aggression coming out. gustavY has to make some good plucks with that charge prey on the Sobek.
pretty standard choreography coming here, especially in the mid lane. Mid laners are pretty much just going ahead, clearing the lane with their jungler, and then heading back to these back camps. So really just waiting for the real first big engagement of the game.
We saw yesterday in the Cloud9 Epsilon games the Sobek Cupid kind of classic combination.
Yep.
If you're taking a look at Cognitive's duo lane at this point, they've actually got a double knockback in the Sobek pluck and then the Chiron charge. It actually knocks your opponent back if you hit them with it. So
you can
that could
really pull them like half a lane, if not further. So you could actually end up in tower range and not even realize it until it's a little bit too late. Tuning with mid lane, you can clearly see that Envy have the wave clear advantage with that Kukulkan able to rotate away early, knowing that they're going to get the experience still, as we see Freya and Batz heading back to the back harpies.
Allied's already level 5, so look for Weekend to set something up as soon as he hits level 5 as well, potentially on this duo lane, considering that Kiki and CycloneSpin have been pushed out early.
Freya and Xing going to meet up one more time in the mid lane. soupskitchen here taking on his opponent Omega in that solo lane. You know, I wonder how soupskitchen is feeling, because soupskitchen is a very confident player, but they're, you know, make no bones about it. We've talked about it, the analysts have talked about it. There's a lot of fanfare around Omega, and we've also discussed how specifically mental that solo lane is. So I'm very curious to see how soupskitchen winds up playing.
soupskitchen's often been bested by Dworst from Team Eager, so he's actually the captain of Cognitive. A lot of people think that Xing is, but soupskitchen's the real kind of leader of this team, while Xing brings his veteran experience. So it's a very interesting matchup to see those two kind of veteran leadership players going at it.
I really want to see what Cognitive do here, because you saw Envy just zoning them off the experience in mid for a little while until they were ready to rotate and that blue buff was spawning. We need to see Sobek start to rotate early. gustavY needs to start coming to the mid lane and start to help put the pressure onto Envy, because otherwise they'll sit back like that, zone them off, especially with a Serqet who can just pull them into a tornado, and the big ultimate from Kukulkan.
Serqet's also got anti-healing, which when you look at Cognitive, they've got a heal on the Chiron and a heal on the Sobek. We can see a pluck here from gustavY onto Kiki.
Yeah, Kiki under a bit of pressure, but he's going to ult away. It looks like he's going to see an engagement on the right-hand side.
Going right for the Harpies. Kiki lands. Kiki goes ahead and picks up Harpies for his team. All things tied up here as we approach our 4th minute.
Towards the solo lane, Omega already establishing a little bit of dominance in that lane. 100 gold up at this point, and a level above soupskitchen.
In a really good position so far.
Oh no, sorry, that's the other way around.
Yeah, no, but soupskitchen's doing a very, very good job in this lane. He's pushing under the tower. This is kind of to be expected here with the aggression that you'll see coming out from a Bellona early on. But look at this big engagement. Ultimate goes off, and it looks like we're going to see first blood. gustavY, the Sobek, has fallen to Allied. And look, reinforcements are arriving from both teams.
Freya's on top of Kiki right now, forcing him underneath the tower. Those ghosts are not going to have enough range to take out the Athena. So 1 kill is all we see. First blood going the way of Envy.
gustavY in a little bit of an awkward position there. He charged down the very narrow lane between the mid camps, and that's just perfect for a Kukulkan, a large straight line ultimate, and just absolutely blew him up.
Yeah, channels is the big key for a Kukulkan. If you can funnel them into the gaps in the jungle where it's very difficult to dodge the abilities, especially if you've actually used your escapes as well, it's very difficult to dodge it, and just sets them up nicely for that first start to the game.
In the pregame, we saw Team Envyus ban out the Odin. That's really smart when they picked up the Kukulkan, because Kukulkan doesn't have any escapes out of that Odin ring. Early beats from Allied, though, to get him away from Xing's ultimate.
Let's just go back to picks and bans again, though, because I expected Cognitive to look at banning away the Kukulkan. They don't really seem to see it as a threat, but on paper, they're going to have double Guardian Envy here, so they've got taunts to deal with, which can pull them into tornadoes, at the same time as they've also got the Xing 10, and Roots is one of the best things that Kukulkan likes.
When Xing 10 first came out, he was kind of noted as very similar to Ares with his ultimate, just a little bit less range. And so I think when Omega gets in these team fights, he's going to be acting in a very similar role to what you normally see in Ares, just burning beads and it's setting up for Kiki's taunts.
Those taunts are going to be devastating, as we said, with the big nuke coming out of the mid lane. And that'll also help out weaken sort of the downsides of Serqet that we were talking about, the difficulty to really pilot this character. She'll be able to be assisted by the taunts coming out of Kiki and just throws coming out from Omega. There's a lot of control on the side of Envy to assist that difficulty level.
Good work from Omega so far, though. He's going for the right sort of itemization build he wants to. Start with the Vanguard, because when he's clearing the wave with that Roar, he will get some damage off onto soupskitchen and get aggro from the minions. Like you said, it will reduce that. Now he's gone for the Shoes of Focus for the cooldown reduction that we're so used to seeing on him, into the Breastplate of Valor, and eventually, well, Bellona's not going to be able to do anything to him.
And Ethereal Staff will probably be a core item for Omega as well, just to do a lot of damage towards the late game. Xing 10 has got very good scaling, and once he gets into team fights, we saw it with Salt Machine on Team Enemy, just diving the backlines, doing so much damage, and being able to zone out the damage from Freya, especially on the side of Cognitive Gaming, will be huge.
Left-hand side, though, Paul under a little bit of pressure here, doesn't panic too much, shows his experience there up against CycloneSpin and Kiki.
CycloneSpin was one of the... Oh, we see Xing using ultimate there. Not going to find anything. Good beats from allies and Weaken, but Weaken looking for some aggression.
There's going to be help out from the Athena ultimate coming on down. Freya in a little bit of trouble. A lot of damage going out for Kukulkan. It don't matter. Kiki gets the kill.
Over soupskitchen trying to turn this one around. Gets the Scourge off to kill Weaken. Omega shows up with a washing machine. The root does not connect, however. Omega out of mana. soupskitchen's rotation making that one worthwhile.
An excellent rotation from soupskitchen, and that was what CycloneSpin was noted for when he played solo lane for Team Envyus. Playing ADC now, and we don't generally hear his name a lot. Generally, the players on Envyus Xbox that we've heard a lot has been Omega, Weaken, and Allied, but CycloneSpin has done a tremendous job transitioning from one side of the map to the other.
Yeah, I mean, this Hunter situation for CycloneSpin, I think, is a really interesting situation. And right now, we'll take him, watch him take on 1v2.
Going down. Going to be a kill there. One more snipe will do it. No, he jukes it out nicely. Back to the safety with Rising Jaguar. There was a rotation coming. I agree with Cognitive not continuing.
Cyclone is a very aggressive player, and that solo lane kind of style of play that he's still adopting there. You saw him very aggressive up in lane, but he felt himself enough and was able to get out of a tricky situation, taking experience from his previous work in the solo lane.
soupskitchen and Omega tuning in with them again. Both have the blue buff here, but low on mana, so you won't see too much action over in that lane for the time being. Top player damage at the moment is CycloneSpin. He stood and fought very hard there. To be fair, he probably should have died, though, Hughes.
He definitely should have. Paul had landed one more snipe. He was gone. I was actually very surprised. We didn't see the two come out from Chiron to finish him off. I guess it was a low mana situation.
It was a low mana situation. Xing in the mid lane, trying to make things happen. Got an assist on the board so far. Working on the Jotuns, as you'd come to expect. Meanwhile, Serqet across the way, Weaken 0, 1, and 2.
I'm surprised to see that Xing went the Batz, considering they already picked up the Zhong. The Batz ultimate tends to spread out the enemies, but you want them close together for the
big play in mid lane, looking for the pick here onto Freya once again. The Zhong is doing work though, as allies being flipped into danger. He should fall. Athena turns up to the fight, but Weaken turns it around on Freya, and we still got more as Kiki is trying to keep fighting.
Stuck in the middle, half HP. He'll walk away. And it's going to be resulted in the final score of 3-2 as we approach the 9th minute.
The damage reduction there from Kiki was key in keeping Allied alive long enough for Kiki to then himself get in the fight and help set up Weaken for the kill.
Talking about damage reduction of Freya using that ultimate does give the extra protections there. That's why you saw him survive the big burst damage that came out from the boys of Envy. This is a lot closer than a lot of people expected here, F-Up.
Looking towards the Weaken now on the side with his Serqet. Who's he going to really pick on as we get towards the later stages of the game when the Zhong starts to become so tanky? Do you think it's maybe the Chiron he's going to be looking for?
Potentially the Chiron as well. I mean, it's a possibility for that one. You're basically going to see him look to sit on the background and look for somebody who's low health trying to escape the fight for the most part, or spread the poison to people based off that as well. Zhong is definitely a target just to stop the sustain.
Maybe he could even be looking for Xing, because Envyus obviously recognized Xing is the danger man. If you could take out that Batz early in the fight, it'll be really key for Envyus to come out on top in these ones.
3-2 is the scoreline now, just coming up to the 10-minute mark. Xing level 11 at the moment. Got his beats 1 online, which is checking in with the rest of the people. Book of Tough being worked on here by Allied.
That's just his standard kind of build, you know. And Kukulkan's passive, you get as much mana as you can. You get so much extra power. He's going to be hitting like a truck once he's got that one finished.
With the Stone of Gaia finished on the Bellona as well, just going to be really, really difficult to kill, especially if the damage mainly coming out of Allied and Omega. It's really putting a lot of weight onto Weaken and CycloneSpin to deal the damage when it comes to Bellona.
I really like the shell coming out from gustavY to deal with the damage from Allied that we just talked about. It's a lot of tick damage with those tornadoes.
Left-hand side, Harpy's due to spawn soon. You can see the small group of Envy there. Over on that side, the red buff is being done at the same time. No contest from Cognitive for the time being here, as it's still 2-3.
It's interesting to see that neither of these solo laners have been forced to go in the teleport. You know, usually when we see one solo laner or another pushed out, they're forced to go in an early teleport to keep that lane dominance. But both of these guys have done a tremendous job so far. All credit to soupskitchen going up against Omega and staying even.
Completely agree. I mean, but to be fair, soupskitchen has a better matchup here against the early stages of Xing 10. He can push him under the tower early on. And the teleport game, it will eventually come out. But the longer you can hold off getting that teleport, the more you can invest in items for damage and survivability.
And then at the end of the day, not having that teleport is also, you're keeping that information close to your chest. So if the other solo laner makes the rotation and you have yet to pick up a teleport, well, you can always buy it and then use it as soon as you get it. So there's also that idea in mind of just keeping a couple of little things secret.
Both of these junglers going into what would almost certainly be a Jotun's Wrath here just to get some cooldown online, allow them to use their abilities a little bit more often. I really want to see from the side of Envyus a nice rotation from Kiki out of the dual lane to set up some damage from Weaken and Allied.
I wouldn't mind actually seeing Cognitive looking to try and gank Cyclone a little bit more. They found some success in that lane, trying to pick him off. Take into account that at the moment, Cyclone has no boots, and the mobility of these two gods he's up against here, very, very strong for picking off targets.
Well, once we get to the late game, Cyclone is going to be doing so much damage. They do have the Bellona to disarm him and stop the auto attacks, but he's going to be the main one trying to focus out Zhong because he could shred through him with those branching bubbles and all that physical power. Weaken looking for a gank onto Paul here, but, you know, not really going to find much.
No, I'm looking for the opportunity to try and find something here. Athena's still in the jungle at the moment as well. Batz around the corner, looking towards coming over here. Xing with the support of the Sobek, gustavY, as the purple buffers spawned here. You saw Envy trying to make something happen here, but there was just nothing to really have. And Chiron, very mobile. He did cost him his beads, though.
One thing we haven't really talked about this game is the Gold Fury. We're 12 minutes in. Yesterday we saw Epsilon going for Gold Furies at 4 minutes in. And it's really interesting to see the different play styles between PC and Xbox. PC tends to be, you know, it's really weird. You know, we tend to think Europe is a much slower paced game than North America, but, you know, Epsilon, a very fast paced team. gustavY getting some damage onto Kiki, but not going to find much. But yeah, as I was saying, the Gold Fury not talked about, not even really warded up here at this point.
The Gold Fury specifically not warded up, but the entirety of the left-hand side of the map is warded up, and it's all Envy, with the exception of this one sentry that Paul just placed.
Right inside, though, Omega's a little bit overextended. Back farm, he's been rotated by 3 now. Has to use the ultimate to try and throw away and escape, but the mobility of Xing paying dividends.
Cognitive weren't really looking to pick him off there. They're just trying to get him to stop proxy farming waves. That's something he's been doing a lot on Xbox. He really feeling himself. We mentioned he's a Halo pro, so transitioning to Xbox and a controller, it's just been totally natural for him.
But that's all about getting in the head more than anything here, after, isn't it? That's what he's looking to do.
Exactly. I mean, Omega still, he gets chased out from proxy farming, and where does he go? Directly back between a tier 1 and a tier 2.
Well, Paul's beads were burnt there, so you can see the extra aggression they're looking for here. But the rotation coming out from Cognitive, trying to make this one back in response as they're looking for the pick on Cyclone, who's surrounded and does not have support just yet. There's the Fear No Evil. CycloneSpin will fall down. Cognitive are making a game of this.
Xing's in some trouble now, though, very, very low. He'll be able to walk away. You know, it's interesting. A lot of people are immediately going to point to lack of boots on the Xbalanque as Kiki gets jumped on by soupskitchen. It's a very tanky target, though. Should ultimately be fine.
Oh, the bludgeon was good, but not enough to find the kill. Allied really supporting his teammate there without using that the one on Kukulkan to actually slow him down there would have caused some issues.
With that fight there, KikiSoCheeky used his ultimate to get out of the fight onto Weaken rather than looking for his AD carry. So CycloneSpin didn't have any support. Maybe it was a misclick from Kiki, but I also think he felt like he was in danger and he was the target they were looking for. Ultimately, though, Cyclone was out of position.
gustavY is currently out of position now. He was trying to zone out, but he got caught off by 2. Meanwhile, the Gold Fury has been done, I believe, at the moment. Cognitive Gaming were looking for it, but now Omega has turned up and thrown him into a tornado.
Beautiful.
2 people hit. There's the follow-up by Kiki to follow up a taunt to make sure we're going to find a double here, more than likely, as 2 more members of COG should fall down.
Omega throws out the damage and immediately starts backing. That's the style of play we're used to seeing.
That is just pure confidence coming out from Omega. In the previous fight, a lot of people will note that Allied missed his ultimate, but that wasn't a misplay. What happened there was gustavY was forced to stand in position and then take damage from Weaken and the rest of Envyus.
Yeah, a lot of what Kukulkan players will wind up doing with that ultimate is give the opponent an impossible decision. As we call it, in the sense that you can either get hit by a Kukulkan ultimate or walk directly into a Xing Tian. Take your pick. You don't want either of them.
Really, really good work from the boys of Envy there. They get the Gold Fury in the zone that you saw Kiki put on Xing, was trying to come in to contest that one potentially. Doesn't have the opportunity to do it. He was looking at the speed just then, but the rotations from Envy are on point.
About a 3,000 gold difference between these teams at this point. If we could take a look at the graphs, we'll find out the XP difference as well, but it should be trending the way of Envyus. So we can see, yeah, about a 2,000 experience difference as well. So as this lead starts to build, expect some more big plays coming out from Envy.
Still the vision on the side of Envy as well. You can take a look. The wards, you got a sentry ward on their side and an aggressive ward in between the tier 1 and tier 2 towers over in the middle lane. That'll really give them the information. More importantly, that'll give the dual lane information about where the jungler on the side of COG is going to head.
Kiki's placed 8 wards at this point, most of the game, and 5 ahead of his opposing support player, and he's still ahead in terms of items.
He's doing good work. Well, the Gold Fury is going to help with that as well, obviously, but getting involved in multiple of kills and not dying means you're staying on the map, earning experience and gold, which is the big key.
Book of Toth now completed by Allied as well. We saw in that last fight, he did so much damage to the guys on Cognitive. Took gustavY to about 3/4 health of almost just one tornado by itself.
And you can see they're going to try and look to pick Kukulkan. He's an important target to take down. He's going to be working on Spear next for the extra penetration he's going to get from that. But if they don't manage to get to him, it's going to be difficult just getting there in the first place because the amount of peel this team have.
Duo lane now. We were talking before about the boot situation between CycloneSpin and Paul. Paul went for the early boots. Chiron's got a lot of inbuilt mobility, and you know, it wouldn't have been too bad for him to go the solo at the start, but he just wants to make sure that he's not the target because he kind of recognizes that this early stage of the game, Wicked's going to be looking for him a lot.
gustavY on the front line there, trying to zone away the boys of Envy once again. He's a little bit too far forward sometimes, though, gustavY needs to watch that, but looking at this, Xing is around the corner looking for potential play. He has the blink available. They're just looking for him to get into the correct position here.
But Envyus know that there's a gank coming. You see Xing blinking in with the ultimate. Not going to fire much. Allied was playing super safe.
Super safe indeed, and everybody backing out. Taunt turn around and a tornado hits onto Xing as well. So he takes more poke than he actually gave out there for that one. Envy, well aware.
Super disciplined there by Allied, not throwing out the ultimate, knowing that he didn't have the CC chain to secure the damage there. And, you know, rather than throwing it out in the heat of the moment, held onto it, waiting for the next fight.
Yeah, a lot of what made that gank not successful was just the fact that the Fear No Evil was placed with the players on the outskirts of it. So as the players get pushed out, it didn't just in crowd control as much as it needed.
There's a tornado as well onto gustavY. He flipped a minion, unfortunately. He will fall down as a casualty. And the boys of Envy still grouped as 5 in the mid lane, looking to try and push down this tier 1.
Envy's playing 6-on-5. Apparently that minion, had he not been there, gustavY would have been safe and clean and clear. But because Charge Prey doesn't go through targets, he gets stuck right in the tornado, and it deals maximum damage.
It was right on the edge as well, just a couple more feet, and he would have been safe. But, you know, great play there from the minions of Envy.
Not a lot they can really do here, Cognitive. They're trying to defend the tier 1 tower. It is on its last legs for now. It'll stand because the rotation coming out from Paul here and Freya and Xing back to it. But look what's happening left.
Split push Athena. Kiki is very cheeky
That was a backdoor as well.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if any character could do it, it's Athena. She's got a dash to get away. She's got the global to get out of trouble. If she was a physical character, I think a lot of people would be calling her more OP than she already is. That's true. That's true.
Right side, Omega split pushing to victory as well at the moment as we see soupskitchen returning back to the lane there. Tower's taken some good damage from both sides over in that solo lane. A little bit surprising that we've seen Omega get as much damage off on that as possible.
A lot of backs coming out from Envy, so they're going to convert their gold lead into some items. And next team fight, they'll be coming out on top of COG a lot more than they already have.
As you actually see the structure damage there, it's all CycloneSpin, which shows me that that right-hand side tower that's so low has just been whittled down by minions.
But look at that 241 from Athena. That's that split push we saw in the left lane.
We saw a similar tactic that, so Envyus at the moment, as we said, was split pushing a lot or just forcing minion waves in. We saw this from Cloud9 yesterday in their first game against Epsilon, where they were down a little bit first but managed to bring it back. Envy doing it at this point when they're already ahead is just going to extend their lead so much that Cognitive's going to struggle to come back in this one.
Well, I'm waiting for the first big team fight is going to be the big key here. The first Gold Fury going the way of Envy was, I want to say, an extended team fight that was kind of sporadic and all over the place, but the next big one is where it's going to be key.
I have to give credit here to Xing, keeping up with Weekend despite the Gold Fury. He's only about 200 gold behind at this point.
2 levels up.
And, yeah, exactly, 2 levels up. And he's got another active as well. So Xing really showing his veterancy and experience.
Well, you've actually seen when we spoke about Xing so far this game, he's not actually been ganking that much. He's been mainly farming, looking for the later stages of the game. Getting that crit online, as you can see, is very important, helpful towards the Hunbats for looking for the big damage.
I'm really interested to see how they're going to synergize the Hunbats with the Zhong. As I mentioned earlier, Hunbat spreads people out, but Zhong, you want them all pulled in. So maybe he's going to be looking to ultimate people into walls, just keep them locked down in place, or look to set it up for a gustavY pluck.
Yeah, that's really the key, I think, is making sure, which makes this so difficult. And we saw that actually fail in the mid lane a little bit long ago. You need to actually it's not enough to get the Fear No Evil down for the CC like it is in some compositions. You actually need to make sure that the totem is going to be behind your target, pushing them into exactly where you want them to be.
Look at the player damage here. Omega overtaken CycloneSpin, and look at all the tank items he's got online. He's got his Breastplate of Valor, he's going to Heart of the Urchin, but the ethereal stuff is the real key here. The HP being converted into magical damage is what allowing Omega to take the top damage.
Yeah, it's a story of percentage damage. You don't even need to build into these offensive items. But you take a look at this Heart of the Urchin. This is one of my favorite items with how active Xbox Smite in general is, specifically Omega. This item will be stacked up very, very soon, and Omega will be nigh impossible to kill.
tower falls in the solo lane, just giving Team Envyus a little bit more gold as we hit the 21-minute mark.
gustavY has respawned though, and Cognitive, they're the ones that have warded up early. They know it's going to be important. And going back once again, I expect to see Xing with this Fear No Evil. He's going to be more on zone duty than anything else with it. Not necessarily first engage. They may look for the Zhong engage first of all, with the support of the Soup Kitchen on that Bellona.
Cognitive's got a kind of better counter engagement on the gold for you rather than a necessary straight up engagement. When Cognitive see Envyus going in and starting it, Xing can just spread them all out with the Hornbut's ulti.
Well, in the mid lane, you can still see gustavY farming up, trying to stay in range of experience. He's currently level 13 at the moment, 2 levels down on the Athena. You can start to see a real big difference in experience.
I love this positioning out of Envy as a great taunt into a tornado. Is going to put gustavY down to about 50% HP. This is not a stat that we have, but I think if we were able to tell how much time Allied has spent in the circle of his tower, I'd say it's about 95%. He's really playing ultra safe.
Look at soupskitchen. He's taking a tactic out of Omega's book, proxy farming the wave in between the towers. He recognizes that Omega hasn't been the one hitting the towers. It's been the minions forcing his lay down. Really smart play from the solo laner.
It's also because the Bellona at the moment is now in a position, soupskitchen is in such a position with those itemization he's got, it's going to be very difficult to find the kill. gustavY takes some tornado damage there, looking to try and find a potential pick, but the moment he shows up and the rotations come out, Envy fall back.
And look where Allied is, still in the circle of the tower. He just comes out long enough to throw out a tornado and hide back underneath there. So safe.
Well, Kukulkan's got such good clear, you can do that.
Yep.
He has to be very safe too, because that's where they're going to be looking to pick. Once his damage is gone, if he loses the burst and has to use his ultimate defensively, then the Gold Fury is a potential.
Right now, Weaken level 16 with the Deathbringer online along with the Jotun's Wrath. This is where Serqet traditionally not only comes out, but needs to come out. So right now, 2, 1, and 3, he's been pretty active. We need to see a little bit more if Envy wants to be successful.
gustavY and the Tornado taking a lot of poke. They forced the reset, do Cognitive for the time being, but Kukulkan's ultimate is still available, and it's very difficult for Cognitive to contest while that ultimate's up.
Envyus doesn't necessarily want to do this gold fury. They want to beta fight, clear out some of Cognitive, take the, notch another couple kills to their belt, and then start it up. Cyclone, though, a lot of power online at this point. Doesn't have any passive stack. Execution is done, however, so he's going to be able to take down that gold fury pretty quickly.
Love the body block, and then the root into the tornado damage. So Soup Kitchen going to be chased away, and Omega throws another dot at him just for...
He only has teleport 1 right here, Soup Kitchen, as well, so hopefully he's going to have to go back to base. He should have 600 gold, I want to say, so we can buy that and get back to this fight, because otherwise, Envy will look to try and put the pressure on.
I love the Shield of the Underworld coming out from Omega to deal with that Zhong ultimate and the damage coming out from the Hornbut's ultimate. He's going to be doing so much damage back to Cognitive. They're going to hurt themselves with their own ulti.
Yeah, that's the one thing that, you know, I was actually just about to point that out, Yuzi, because it seems so... Oh, people always go Shield of the Underworld on targets that want to be attacked right now.
Xing just went in with the Fear No Evil, looking for the pick. Now he's had to use Beast to escape the danger, but he's going into tower range, gets taunted by Kiki, and Cyclone picks up the kill. It's 4v5. The ultimate comes out from Ally, but it doesn't look like it really hit anybody.
Soup Kitchen gets a stun onto the top. CycloneSpin takes a lot of damage. Meanwhile, Freya on the backside takes out Weaken as 2-on-3, but Envy still pushing the butt.
Freya is doing very good work in the mid lane, but he will fall down to Omega in the end. The Tornado is doing good work to Soup Kitchen as well. He'll survive because of the tankiness with that Stone of Gaia, and the fight is going in Envy's favor.
The taunts from Kiki there were perfect. He got a 3-man taunt, pulled everyone back into his own shield wall damage, as well as Allied's tornado damage.
They do kill Weaken though, and because of Envy's positioning here, they're a little bit too low in health to look for that Gold Fury now off the back of that. But Cognitive, they put up a very good fight there, especially after Xing died so early.
Even though that's the case, man, Cognitive did play pretty well, despite a misplay from Xing. Envy still in the lead by about 4,000 gold and 4 kills.
Omega still going in, putting poke damage on, not worried about taking the tower. Now that the Hide of the Urchin's online, he's going to start stacking up nicely.
Oh, yeah.
When Envyus was a PC team, Weaken was known as kind of the initiating jungler. It's a well-known kind of fact among the Smite community, but he started to play more carry junglers, and one of the best ones he was on was Serqet, and a lot of people noted that Serqet really started to come back in the meta when Weaken played it. So he's done nice work so far. Hasn't been necessarily the huge damage output, but he has been a lot of the setup for Team Envyus.
Completely agree, and that's kind of his whole general playstyle. It allows Omega just to rotate freely, and Kiki can sit on the back and peel the whole time if required. Tier 1 tower did just fall in the mid lane for Envy, so another 500 gold in the coffers for the boys of Envy.
Allied got the spear online as well. He completed it a little while ago, but it's going to be doing a lot of damage. Looking at the graphs, 5,000 XP, 4,700 gold at this point. So Envy is just going to keep building this lead. It's going to be really hard late game for Cognitive to deal with the Xbalanque.
At the moment as well, the next Gold Fury is where the key of this game is going to be. This happened yesterday in the game of Envy versus Eager as well, is that when we get to this second Gold Fury here, if this one falls down early to the side of Envy, they're going to have a substantial lead.
Allied's going for a relatively early Rod of Tahuti here as well, so he's going to have a massive power spike when that comes online, rather than going into something like a Gem of Isolation. And another Gold Fury falls into Envyus, secured off the back of Allied's ultimate.
Great work from Envy there. That's exactly what the ultimate brings from Kukulkan as well. Secure the buff, and now with that, the gold is just continuing to increase considerably.
Yeah, it's so dangerous to go for the steal against a Kukulkan team. We saw that earlier in the PC world when European player Shadow Nightmare really brought the Kukulkan out. You drop a tornado and you have the threat of the ultimate. You really want to go into that mess of damage?
Exactly right, and you know, Batz maybe can do it if he jumps over the wall at just the right time, knocks down the Fino Evo ultimate, but as he said, it's just... Once he goes in there, though, he's kind of super committed. It's like sacrificing yourself for the Gold Fury. Is it really worth it at that point?
Exactly. Well, Plick going off from gustavY onto Kiki, but Kiki's so tanky and cheeky enough to just use his ultimate to escape back to mid lane. Split push Athena, paying work.
CycloneSpin gone the Fatalis again. We noted he did that yesterday, and it's because Xbalanque's got inbuilt physical power in his kit with his passive and his branching rollers. He could really afford to do that, whereas other hunters can't because they just don't have the physical power or scaling.
You know, it's funny, Fatalis is an item that actually, it will lower your DPS, but there's an intangible of the movement speed and how everything can happen and how you can continue chasing. And one of the big things is that different people prefer different builds, and this is a build that Allied likes to play on the Xbalanque, so you can tell that Allied and CycloneSpin really discuss their own personal likes and dislikes.
I really like the Mail of Renewal coming out for weakening. He recognizes he's been the setup, the initiate for his teams thus far, and it's just going to give him a little more survivability in these team fights.
Well, look at this. Envy wants to go aggressive and try and make something happen. The root connects there from Omega, keeping the front line sustained. Took some poke damage from the card, but will sustain that back up with the Stone of Gaia. Sorry, he's not got the Stone of Gaia, the Hide of the Urchin, and working towards that Stone of Gaia.
And there's...
Oh, look at this.
Yeah, CycloneSpin going to be in trouble here as he gets ulted on and tail whipped, but he'll be under his own tower. Stunned by soupskitchen, forced out. soupskitchen in some trouble as well, but CycloneSpin takes the spill.
Oh, the ultimate comes out from Allied there. Omega going to secure the kill onto Freya as well. Weaken is round the back, looking for reinforcements of anybody trying to disengage.
But soupskitchen doing such nice work in the backline, completely zoning out Allied for doing any damage to gustavY and the rest of his team. Weaken now getting very low himself.
Weaken trying to fight against gustavY there, but it's a Sobek versus the Serqet and not able to find the actual kill.
Looking towards that team fight there. A 2-to-1 trade in favor of Team Envyus, but once again, soupskitchen doing such nice work there. He dove a tower, came back, and was, you know, nearly 3/4 health. It just speaks to the strength of Bellona, and taking CycloneSpin out of that team fight didn't make it as bad for Cognitive as it could have been.
Rod of Tahuti on the way from Allied as well, because he's working towards that now. His damage is going to increase with time.
I actually think it will be a Cronus Pendant, taking back my earlier statement. He loves the cooldown. The more tornadoes and ultimates he could throw down, it just really depends what he's feeling at this point. He does have the cooldown boots. I guess it'll just depend how much gold in hand he has when he's forced to back next.
Well, give him max cooldown if he goes to the Chronos Pendant there, but at the same time, the big burst damage is what Allied's really looking for here. The spear and those tornadoes doing so much damage with the Rod of Tahuti, it increases it just so much.
Yeah, and that's really the classic 4-item mage sort of go-to build is you get your movement speed boots, whichever one you decide to go to. You get a big power bank, which is the Book of Thoth. Third item is almost always your penetration, which is spear. And then fourth, Rod of Tahuti, you're at that point where you're getting extra gold from towers and objectives. So Rod of Tahuti, while expensive, is a huge boon to that power bank.
And we just saw Golden Hand that Allied was saving up for. As soon as he hit 14-20, he immediately backed to get that online.
Oh, yeah.
Huge, as you guys were just saying, huge power spike, and it's going to make objective secure as well. Extremely powerful from the Kukulkan, and the Fire Giant fight is going to be extremely difficult for Cognitive to fight into.
Big thing on Cognitive that I can see here. Freya is the one I'm looking at. He's doing good work, but look at this. Paul boxing out against CycloneSpin. CycloneSpin well aware of Xing coming round there. The ultimate did not connect. And immediately disengaged from Cyclone.
And right there, Xing was getting some revenge on the minion that killed gustavY.
Envyus is going to know that that's down as well for the next team fight, so look for them to engage sooner rather than later.
They're going to have to engage Xing because Gold Fury is coming up once again very shortly. He'll be given flash in about 30 seconds time, and we'll see exactly whether Cognitive can get something off here. Xing's ultimate will be probably back up by then, all being well.
Smart back timing from Team Envy as well. You see CycloneSpin and Kiki coming out of the gates right now. The Gold Fury is going to be danced around in a number of seconds, but the Team Envy has already made their back, so they don't have to worry about not being present when it spawns.
Stone of Gaia online now for Omega as well, giving him some magical defense. That's going to be really important against the Zhong. Some HP 5 regeneration, along with just the base health of a Xing 10 is going to make him almost impossible to kill in these team fights.
Talks a lot about Omega so far, but soupskitchen's having a very good game so far. Working on the hide of the Urchin there. 2-0-1. We saw him aggressive in that last little team fight in the mid lane. Dive in the tower, picking off CycloneSpin right under it, and quite happy to tank it up.
Looked like he was surrounded, but finds a way out.
Look for Omega to really push the solo. Actually, he's going to back here. I was going to say, if he pushes his solo, and he could force a rotation out from Cognitive. And as we all know, when there's a play in the solo lane, you go for the Gold Fury.
Go for the Gold Fury, and look at that. Envy is around the area, and they're starting to pull it immediately.
Xing cancels that back as he sees. So Xing started to back. gustavY looked at the Gold Fury, alerted him. Xing stopped the back, but Envy also pulls off.
Look at how much damage Allied 3 just did there. gustavY at about 3/4 health after that one. Just
I love the fact that he's actually got for Spirit Robe here as well, this Sobek. He's like working at gustavY. This will give him the extra protections once he gets CC'd, and that's exactly what the combo is. But look at this, in the jungle, we're going to see a fight.
soupskitchen taking a little bit of damage. He gets rooted right on the outskirts of that tornado, but he's so tanky, especially with that Stone of Gaia. He's still at 75. Weaken turns around as he gets Athena channeled onto him, able to walk away.
Xing will be very happy with that. He just somersaulted into that and got the ultimate from Kiki. Knowing that's on cooldown here, good opportunity for Cognitive.
It was a really smart disengage as well. You don't want to fight down that narrow corridor when you're up against a Kukulkan who'll just throw down an ultimate and wipe your whole team.
Taunt comes out from Kiki, connects with Paul, forcing the beads. Good response time from Paul there. On the backside, you can see deep in is Freya using the ultimate, and the ultimate comes out from soupskitchen too. Eagle's Rally did not connect with anyone. The bludgeon misses as well.
Freya's ultimate might have been too soon and too little. soupskitchen now down to about 50% HP. Freya taunt in the middle. There's that Kukulkan ultimate. It hits nobody, but damage still coming out against Cognitive Gaming.
Fight still breaking as the Finna.
Beautiful ult.
From Xing. He held it long enough to try and disengage his team. Omega doesn't care though. Freya will kill Weaken, but Omega's still going deep, surrounded by 4. Looking for the pick on Freya. Tries to disengage, but he's going to be chased down.
He's 3-0-3 right now. Will Omega find a death in the 33rd minute of this game? Doesn't look like it as he walks out on the right-hand side, and Kiki gets the attention of the enemy team. Meanwhile, off-screen, soupskitchen falls to Envy.
Superb taunt there from Kiki, taking 3 members away from Omega. Paul doing some nice damage.
Yeah, and it looks like we're going to see one fall down. Xing's going to drop, and gustavY straight afterwards. Allied is starting to do a lot of damage. He survived the fight. He missed his ultimate, but the tornado's doing work.
I really don't know what Cognitive were thinking there, continuing to fight into the extremely strong team comp of Team Envyus. Only one member had fallen down, Weaken, who's not going to contribute a tremendous amount in team fights. He's looking more to pick off someone just before or at the end of the team fight. The stronger members of Envyus were still alive.
3 Gold Furies now in the way of Envy in the finals. This is the best of 5, but taking game 1 here is going to be a big boom for their chances of winning this.
10k XP, 9k gold difference between these teams at this point, and at this point it's Envyus' game to lose.
Allied making his way back into the mid lane. He's got that routed to hoodie and a ton of gold in his coffers, and wondering where he's going to go. So that Chronos Pendant you were talking about, Husey, that's where I expect it to come after the route to Hootie. So I think the next time we see the back out of the mid laner for Envy, that's where we're going to see the
Gary Soul Reaver. He's literally just gone back and looking to pick that one up instead. So the big burst is going to be available.
It's going to shred through particularly gustavY on the side of Cognitive Gaming, or even Freya, depending which one he catches in that. And you know, you got to lay down a tornado and it's just 15% of your health gone like that. But look at Omega, still hasn't died in this one, and he's gone pretty much full tank other than that E stuff and his cooldown boots. Harder than the me in line coming out. We haven't seen a tremendous amount of that on PC, but I've seen him play it a couple times on Xbox.
We've had this game's position right now, though, that Envy, if Envy win the next team fight, the respawn time is going to be slightly longer, but we're at 35 minutes, just approaching in this one. So if we do see Cognitive fall, it could be a potential for Envy to just break the back and take a Phoenix, if not the Fire Giant and more. Instead, if Cognitive win the next engagement, well, it's going to give them a chance to get back in this and even everything up just because of respawn times.
I like the Emerald Talisman coming out from Kiki.
Look at this positioning by Envy. They're surrounding the speed camp. They can come in from the left or the right if they choose, and if they choose is the real important part. Because Envy, if they went in at the wrong spot, that could have been dangerous. So they err on the side of caution, decide not to, and instead look to isolate soupskitchen by himself in the solo lane.
Is quite out of position here. Does still have his Eagles Rally available for him, though, to get out of this one. He's actually standing in the front line with the Shield of the Underworld, returning some damage. And now around the back, Omega is dealing with 3. He's the one surrounding him now, but quickly leaps back towards his team.
taking some damage there from Paul, but Omega's going to be fine. He's going to heal that up. He's got the Stone of Gaia and the passive of Xing 10.
Taunt speeds away by Paul, but those are on cooldown now, and that was not a real important taunt, if you will. The next taunt is going to be probably the one to set up a lot of damage, and Paul will have no CC immunity for that situation.
Or it'll even be the Xing 10 ultimate as well, because Omega still has that online, looking for it to get a whole bunch of cognitive in.
They put a lot of pressure onto Omega and Kiki here, but on the front side, it's Paul who's in the world of hurt. There's the fear, no evil coming out from Shing. Allied actually picks up Paul with the tornado damage, and they're trying to return the damage here, Cognitive, but Envy well aware and back out, but Omega is back in the fight with the tornado. A root connects as well to keep him pinned in there. soupskitchen's gonna fall.
Down he falls, and now Envyus pushing down the right-hand side. Freya looks to be the next target. If he falls down, expect to see a fire giant from Team Envyus.
Yeah, we're seeing Team Envy push down the right side of the map. Junglers will dance by themselves in the mid lane, while the rest of the team forces down this tier 2 tower. gustavY gets rooted. He tail-whips to push people away, but Envy really looking for the tower overall.
Shing defeating Weaken, doing good work there to push down the tier 1 tower as well, trying to make something happen for his team. Meanwhile, on the right-hand side,
he's going to be fine, but the tower won't be. CycloneSpin, though, he's going to give chase. Not so fine as gustavY. One more basic. There it is. CycloneSpin gets credit.
It was the Fatalis there that really allowed CycloneSpin to catch up to gustavY.
Okay, what? Meditation. You know what, Husey? You're the new guy. You got to explain it.
Well, I'm not quite sure about it on the Xbalanque. Maybe just to give you some extra mana. He's got Transcendence though already for extra mana. But I guess just healing in teamfights is really important. I would like to see it on a much higher HP character than a Xbalanque. Maybe Omega, maybe Kiki, but you know, maybe this is a hidden tactic Envyus has got, and you know, Hunter Meditation might become the new thing.
Cyclone's an experienced player for the most part, and what he's actually doing here, normally you'll see this against gods with executes to try and heal themselves up to stop the kill. Fire shards from New War is an example, or the Thanatos as well, and the Alquang, I should say, Kukulkan, I got that wrong. But yeah, what you'll actually see is that they're looking to try and defend against those sort of things. With Cyclone getting it here, I think it's just because he's experienced, he's not worried about having to invest in another active.
It could be to defend against the Chiron ultimate coming out from Paul. If he's quite low there, and he knows Paul's going to fall down, heal himself up, prevent himself from dying to that Chiron ult, and then that way ensuring the kill onto Paul.
On top of that, he can give his whole team mana and health so they can continue fighting and do a fire giant after winning an engagement.
We've seen crazier things here at the Smite World Championship. I mean, we saw a Freya with Hand of the Gods yesterday.
We did, but it worked. They got to finals.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. A lot of things coming out of the woodwork here, and more importantly, you know, really who I'm looking at for this Envyus. There's 16 kills, and there's 16 kills and assists on the mid laner. Allied has been playing absolutely incredible. He's only got a single death. He's playing safely, but usually safe comes with a price. You're not involved enough. Well, look at that, 100% kill participation. Allied is playing this game almost perfectly.
Paul taking a bit of damage here from Omega and Kiki. Oh my goodness, that Xing 10 damage is horrendous. But I thought Allied might be going for some more cooldown, but he's going straight into the Gem of Isolation, just pure power. He's not worried about, I guess he's just comfortable with the cooldown on the boots.
I like the patience out of Paul there. He didn't use the beads, even though he took a lot of poke damage there. Holds onto them, knowing that they're going to be very, very important for me. He can't just waste them on the first taunt that happens.
And Chiron's got an inbuilt heal into his kit with his passive, so he's not worried about taking a lot of that poke damage like other hunters. But Fire Giant here, started by Team Envyus. This is a pure bait.
From the back though, Shing is there trying to get in there to look for a steal as well. Allied well aware of it, noticed that one. Now the Tornado's still doing work. They reset the Fire Giant knowing Shing is in the area. Allied getting ulted by Kiki, but Shing is on him. They're looking for the pick on Allied, but COG actually get 2 kills on that one. They're coming in good.
It's a 3-on-5 right now. CycloneSpin shortens that to 4. Looking for more as Omega is caught out by gustavY.
Omega's gonna die.
Into a damage from Freya, but there's a strong taunt. Not enough to save the life of Omega. Paul gets credit for that one. CycloneSpin in some trouble as well. Cyclone and Kiki, the only ones alive. Scratch that, make that Kiki, but he's got a double for himself, which might be enough to keep the enemy off of Fire.
He's in a lot of trouble here. Kiki's very, very tanky though is the main thing for him, but they're gonna try and run him down instead of going for the Fire Giant here. Nope, change their mind.
That's great play from Kiki. He's just trying to bait Cognitive off the Fire Giant, buy time for his team to get back. We saw him use that meditation there to try and keep Omega alive at the end. Not very successful, but it means that Kiki here is still alive, looking to bait out the Fire
It's
Giant.
a very long time though to try and keep this sustained up because the respawn times are so long. Kiki is against the world here trying to defend the Fire Giant. Cognitive have played this so well. Can Kiki steal is the question. There will be no reinforcements in time by the time this goes down. It's up to Kiki.
There's the damage coming out from the Bellona ultimate to take out the Fire Giant. Cognitive Gaming picking up Kiki down to about 25% HP. I don't think he's going to be able to get out of this one.
Using the minions to try and block it in there. Gets a turn off, but he will fall down. Delayed the aside for the boys of Cognitive.
The respawn timers there were really bad for Team Envyus. If someone had come up a little bit quicker, Kiki could have looked to use the Defender Olympus to get out. As it was, though, he only had his dash up. So essentially, with all his teammates being down, he only had 3 abilities instead of the usual 4.
Absolutely beautiful work, though, from Cognitive. I just said that the only way for them to back in this game, they have to be patient. If they get the kills and the respawn times are as long as they are, because the game's going late, it allows them to get back in this game. And let's go to the graphs. That's exactly how this is played out.
Yeah, we'll take a look. It's 41 minutes in. This is a long one, folks. 7,000 gold in the lead by Envyus, but Cognitive took a big chunk out of that with that last exchange. And a lot of credit goes to Xing and the positioning, flanking from the left side.
When you say a lot of gold taken off it, well, there's going to be more gold as well. Take into account the Fire Giants online for them. So they're going to get this gold fury, then they get the towers too, and it'll even this up.
Even though only 3 members of Cognitive got the Fire Giant, it's super important that Paul got it, because he's the hunter. He's going to be the one that's doing a lot of the tower damage, as well as that the other physical damaging character on the side of Cognitive is soupskitchen with that Bellona. He's got it as well, so look for them to really pressure these lanes, especially on the left-hand side to set up for maybe the next Fire Giant.
I'm talking about that. Envy, they're the one that needs to focus on Freya here, because he doesn't have the Fire Giant just now. He's a potential pick target for them. Getting hold of Xing is going to be very difficult.
I mean, you say a potential pick target, but how often are you excited to attack a Zhong?
Not particularly, but if you get the taunt off into the ultimate from Allied, big opportunity.
Look at Allied here. He's actually sold his level 1 section to go into a hat.
Omega from the backside pushes up Cognitive Gaming. Cognitive, on the other hand, is going to engage on the front side of the tower. Tower's still alive, but not even looking towards it is Cognitive. Just instead looking for the kills that will create space, allowing them to get free objectives. But it might be problems.
gustavY will fall down, and Xing has to somersault away. You can see they got the tier 2 tower, but Envy is still fighting this one. Weekend comes in, finds Paul. Good time from Kiki. Somersault and beats away Freya. Jukes out the ultimate from Allied, but still falls down. Envy turned this one around, and it's a DSide. Oh no, it's not, because soupskitchen's in the mid lane. soupskitchen wasn't with the team there. He was split pushing the mid, fall back. And Envy against a Fire Giant defend well.
You know, technically the definition of deicide is just the killing of a god or a monarch figure. So, you know what, with the way Cognitive Gaming looked, those last 2 exchanges, you could say they were gods.
Big key here, though, is what Envy actually did, defending the tier 2 tower. It did fall in the end, but look at the Golden Experience League. They can now push on for a Phoenix. Remember, the respawn times are just so long. This is a potential 2 Phoenixes here.
Oh, Cyclone should shred this Phoenix in very short order. Omega just tanking it up. So tanky at this point, going to take hardly any damage. soupskitchen is here. If you could get a nice disarm off, it might stop this, but he's playing it very, very safely, which I think is wise.
I agree. He shouldn't be going for that one. He should let the tier 2 tower fall in either mid or the left-hand lane here. Look to defend the Phoenix with the disarms is the big key here. Let his team try and respawn. We got 1 second till gustavY's up. They have a chance to defend a little bit, and Envy will be well aware of that, so they probably won't overcommit.
Yeah, and all the while during that situation, Weekend was pushing up the left-hand side, getting some of the jungle, which means the minions are now here ready and waiting for Envy, which just allows CycloneSpin to walk right on in, use his basic attacks to take him out, and now all of a sudden, very quickly, Cognitive have no towers to hang their hat on.
Allied forced to use his beads there as gustavY got a nice pluck onto him. He's actually sold, as I was saying before, he's level 1 golden such, looking to go into, I think, a Celestial Plate Legion Helm.
Possibly Celestial Legion Helm would be an interesting choice. I like the Malice going on Serqet. It's a very classic Serqet build that Weekend is going. There's really no reason to deviate from the norm when it comes to Serqet. You know exactly what she wants. She wants good cooldown reduction. She wants good critical strike for those Deathbane hits. And then, of course, Titan's Bane at the end to tie it all together with a nice bow.
These junglers have got the exact same build, and they're very similar in what they're attempting to do. But Xing's more of a team fight. The Batz is more of a team fight-oriented one. Weekend just looking for, I guess, individual targets. And we saw him go after Paul there and just take it completely out of the fight.
And that's kind of what Xing does, though. Xing's mentality generally is like a Serqet. You're looking to be on the backside the whole time. Xing, you'll be looking to get away into the fight when it's the best opportunity to at least find a pick or disrupt if he needs to with the Fear No Evil. But then he'll be quite happy to 1v1 anyone, especially with that Malice and with that Deathbringer online.
45 minutes into the game, and that's pretty incredible that we've gone this far. And, you know, with the skill that Envyus has, it's really impressive for Cognitive keeping up this long, although I suppose with their experience, it's not that impressive.
Paul's B's forced in mid lane there. Has to get away. Xing trying to reinitiate with a blink. Fear No Evil. They're looking for the pick onto Allied here. They're ignoring Omega on the front. Ultimate comes out from Allied defensively. They're still chasing gustavY very deep.
Beautiful Aegis. That's going to help out Allied for just a moment. soupskitchen comes after it's over to seal the deal and take him out. KikiSoCheeky going to ult and help out his teammate and stop down Paul. Kiki with credit for that one with the assist from everyone else.
Paul is just being called out in his team fights as soupskitchen followed the burst damage intense there from the side of Team Envyus. And Allied is essentially being used as a sacrificial lamb in these team fights. Cognitive's been burning everything on him, but then the real damage is coming out from CycloneSpin, who's actually got a red pot online. That's how late this game has gone.
What you actually saw there as well is that Cognitive initiated, got a good playoff, and immediately Xing had to go back to base. He was low and he had to defend against the minions pouring in to the Titan. And with that, Envy, after winning that fight, well, they're looking for the Fire Giant once more.
Well, they're looking at the Fire Giant, but because of what you just mentioned about needing to push out the Fire Minions, there might be an opportunity for Cognitive to start looking.
Last time there was a fight at the Fire Giant, Xing rotated around beautifully and managed to prevent Envyus, but he's just a little bit too late at this point, pushing up the mid lane. Timed it, I think, was a little bit off.
We will see Allied won't have that Fire Giant this time, but 4 members of Envy do have it. Only 2 Phoenixes remaining. Expect to see them look down the right-hand side first of all for the Phoenix respawning. They'll be waiting for Allied to come back up as well before this begins.
What's really impressive is the amazing amount of assists Team Envyus have, despite Omega being a relatively fresh face to this team. The other 4 have all played together a lot during the
Shing's in
SPL.
a lot of trouble here. He's looking for the somersault over the wall. Can't make it over the wall, but Weaken can. He's round the corner. There's the ult as well to follow up. Xing will fall down to Weaken as Omega pretty much did a very good 1v1 there to set that one up.
Omega with the pretty much, I mean, the perfect execution of that ultimate. If he was early, Xing wouldn't have deployed Fear No Evil. If he was late, he would have been already CC'd, not allowing him to use that ultimate. He read Xing like a book, and because of the perfection in that timing, Omega was able to bring that out. You know, I'm really, usually Xing is very, very quick on those Fear No Evils. Very surprised that Xing wasn't able to put that one out first.
And because of that death on Xing, now you can see his respawn time is still over 40 seconds left, and the pressure is on from Envy. They're looking for the middle Phoenix now in a 4v5 scenario. It's going to be very difficult for Cognitive to hold on now.
The chin size coming out from soupskitchen, looking to burn through Omega, doing percentage health damage there. Yeah. It's a smart item pickup, a little bit expensive, but I guess he can afford to do it this late in the game.
Second Phoenix falls down, and immediately Envy rotate to the left-hand side, looking to take game 1 down against Cognitive in the best of 5 finals here on the Xbox One.
Mid Phoenix, right Phoenix already toasted. Team Envy now looking directly towards the left. As you mentioned, gustavY already down to about 50% HP. Lot of damage coming out from Envy right now. Omega tosses soupskitchen in the middle of everything, and in the process takes out gustavY.
And the Tornado is just doing work to soupskitchen. He pretty much felt it out, but it was Omega that got the kill credit. The Phoenix still stands. Xing respawns, goes in and picks up CycloneSpin at the back. Great individual play from him. Tries to pick up Weaken, but Weaken jukes away into the Tornado, goes Xing, and his death falls to Paul is the last man standing.
This should be game for Team Envyus here. A 4 against 1 here, although it is Paul highest damage on his team, but just so much damage going to be coming out from the side of Team Envyus, and that is going to be game for Team Envy.
Absolute fantastic work from the boys of Envy. They've been in these sort of positions before, and they're showing their experience.
Yeah, they don't look stressed at all. You just took a look at Omega in the front of your screen and the rest of his team as well. Really, no stress. These games did go long. I'm very curious to see how much endurance that these teams are really going to have.
Very long games.
Not enough can be said about Weaken in those games, really playing this role of Serqet to perfection, taking out the damage dealers of Cognitive.
Considering exactly how Serqet is played and how difficult it is on Xbox, I'm very impressed.
Again, gotta mention my man Allied for the majority of the game, 100% kill participation. Fell off towards the end, but that's because, as we said, he was the sacrificial lamb, just playing his role. Great play by guys on both sides of the field. Let's go ahead and talk to the analysts.
Thank you guys so much, and that was a grueling matchup. Nearly went an hour. Insane game, though, between Xbox and Cognitive Gaming, or Xbox, Envy on Xbox.
That's our host, guys.
Sorry about that, people.
Big round of applause for Golden Boy.
You know what? I'm old, okay?
You're at least 38.
I'm at least. I mean, at least I'm not balding like Maven, but
or me, for that
it's an
matter.
inside joke between us. So. Anyway, let's actually talk about that matchup. I mean, honestly, that one went the distance, and that is even being generous. That went the miles, one could say. Adonis, we'll start with you. You know, one thing I'm sad about, Omega died.
Omega did die.
Omega died.
He is a mortal, believe it or not. But I mean, a lot of it came down to the late game team fights and mid game as well. There was a lot of baiting coming out from Envy. They knew they had the superior poke with the Athena into the Kukulkan Whirlwind, along with the Xing 10, always throwing out that Furious Roar. You know, it's a percent HP hit, and that's what they did. They just constantly poked you out until they could find a pick, and then they just did Gold Furies.
Yeah, absolutely. The Athena really shined that game, popping beads almost every time she could, and then Kukulkan Whirlwind, OP.
Yeah, actually, I want to talk about the Kukulkan, that allied
It's
play
not
there.
OP, actually. It's quite balanced.
It's, you know, that's the thing. Designers, man, you just say whatever you want, you know.
For 2016 in Smite, if there's ever a balance problem, blame Scott
I don't
Gandhi.
do anything
Yeah.
with balance.
Blame Scott Gandhi.
Hashtag blame Scott Gandhi.
Systems.
That's going to be it. Actually, let's talk about Allied's Kukulkan there. Definitely was a difference maker. You had actually called for the Giannis. You thought that would be something that he would pick up, and instead going for the Kukulkan and doing work with it. So what was it about Allied's play there, and anything else that caught your eye in that game?
So the main thing when I looked at this, I said, okay, Giannis should get picked up because Xing knows how to play against the Kukulkan, right? He's been through alpha of Smite. He's been here since the very beginning. And you lock down Kukulkan. That's what you have to do. So when he grabbed the Hun Batz, I was like, okay, he's going to look for a level 5 to level 7 kill on the Kukulkan, but he never found it. And that's really just a testament of how Allied was positioning himself throughout the entire game. If you notice him in the team fights, he's all the way in the back, just dropping tornadoes and dipping out. And so when you go the full CDR, I mean, those tornadoes come up very, very fast, and he was able to do consistent damage every single time.
And that's something to note too. If you look back at that fight, the couple team fights later in the game, specifically at the Fire Giant, that Cognitive were able to pick up.
It's okay, words are hard.
I know. There's Xbox versus
Xbox versus
No
PC.
one said Golden Boy was smart, though.
No, I know. I never
but
claimed that
it
one.
was Allied actually died very early in the team fight, and you could see Xing try and focus him down. And when he was able to open up the team fights with those kills, that's when they won. Unfortunately, they couldn't do it enough times.
Yep.